Hello again. We are back with a brand new section of the course, Reactivity, binding data to your application. In this section, we will go deeper into the concept of data binding. We've already talked about it earlier, so you are already familiar with it. We will bind data in all possible ways in our components. Summing it up, in this section, we're going to be revisiting the data binding syntax, applying data binding in our application, iterating over the array of elements and rendering each element using the same template with different data. Revisit and apply the shorthands of data and events binding in our applications. Let's get started with the first video of the section, Revisiting Data Binding and Interpolating Data. In this video, we will interpolate data and add title to the Pomodoro state. Let's start with interpolating data. Observe this piece of HTML code and this JavaScript object. How can we render the values of data entries on the page? How can we access them so that we can use them inside our HTML? Actually, we've been doing this a lot with Vue.js during the last 2 sections. There is no problem in understanding and doing it again and again. If you are already a professional of data interpolation, just skip this section and proceed to the expressions and filters. So, what should we do to populate the div with the value of message? If we go to the old-fashioned jQuery way, we would probably do something like this. But then, during runtime, if you change the value of message, and if you want this change to be propagated to the DOM, you must do it manually. By simply changing the data.msg value, nothing will happen. Take an example of data.message text. The text that will appear in the div tag will of course be hello. You can check this JS fiddle at this website. With Vue, the simplest interpolation is done with handlebars annotation. In our example, we would write this HTML code. The content of the div thus becomes bound to the message data. Each time message changes, the contents of the div changes automatically following its content. Have a look at this JS fiddle example on this link. Data.message is also changed after the Vue instantiation. The value that appears on the screen is the new one. It is still one-way binding interpolation. If we change the value in the DOM, nothing will happen to the data. Still, if we only need the values of the data to appear in the DOM and to be changed accordingly, it is a perfect and valid approach. At this moment, it should be really clear that if we want to use the values of the data object inside the template, we should surround them with handlebar annotations. Let's add the missing interpolations to our Pomodoro application. Check the current situation in Section 3, within the Pomodoro folder. Navigate using npm run dev command and have a look at the page. You will see that the page looks like this. From the very first glance at the page, we are able to identify what is missing there. The page is missing the timer, the kittens, the title of the Pomodoro state, the one that displays work or rest, and the logic that shows or hides the kitten's placeholder according to the Pomodoro state. Begin by adding the title of the Pomodoro state with minutes and seconds of the Pomodoro timer. Now we will add title of the Pomodoro state. First of all, we should decide what component this element should belong to. It is more than obvious that it should belong to state title component. This is the state title component, and if you look at this code, you will see that it actually already interpolates the title in its template. Good. In the previous section, we've already done most of the work. Now we just have to add the data that must be interpolated. In the script tag of this component, let's add the data object with the title attribute inside. For now, let's hard-code it to one of the possible values and then decide how to change it. So let's modify some code to our script tag. Here we uncomment the title attribute. Let's leave it like this for now. We will come back to this later in the methods and event handling section. In this video, we learnt about data binding and interpolating data. Excellent.